To the next episode of the weekly episodic sports entertainment show starring me, Jason Miller. And there's not going to be much to this show because this show is going to be more of a holding place before the big show next week for the predictions of Night of Champions. But I mean, there's some things to go over. I thought Raw was, it's kind of hard to say because it was miles above what it was last week, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. It seemed like half of Raw was fantastic and the other half was atrocious. And I'm pretty sure you know which part was good and which part wasn't. So let's get the awful stuff out of the way. The Jerry Springer segment. Jerry Springer was important to the world 10 years ago. I don't know why he was the guy they wanted to go with there. I know that they had it in their heads that it was a season premiere, so I guess that's what the big deal was. But honestly, and it had nothing to do with Jerry Springer. I mean, Jerry Springer was Jerry Springer. He does what he does, and he was fine in that role. I think the worst part about it is that I think Nikki's actually coming into her own a little bit. She's not atrocious, but Brie can't carry her own in this, and it's to have her on screen for double-digit minutes, for her to be on screen for 12 minutes is not a good thing. It's not a good thing, and I don't know when they're going to realize that. I'm hoping that... I don't think this is over yet, because obviously they didn't get to have their match. The three-way that's happening at Night of Champions doesn't involve Brie. So, I don't know. I just want that whole storyline to go away, but that was the worst part of Raw, and it wasn't really close. I guess it depends on how you look at it. Like the Stardust Goldust match with Los Matadors was awful, but it served its purpose. The Usos came in and got their beat down. I still think they're going to have an epic match at Night of Champions. So, as far as storyline goes, I like the way that goes. The match itself was awful. It's funny because as much as I like the weirdness of Goldust and Stardust, if you put them in there with Los Matadors, it looks like you're watching it would be like if someone came into your house and watched you watching that, they'd be like, what in the world are you watching? It's, you know what I mean? It just makes you look stupid. So I don't know. I wish there was it's almost like you need to have a serious team against a cartoony team. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think those of you who are, closet wrestling fans know what I'm talking about. But anyway, there was a lot of good stuff. Wyatt finally got his moment with Jericho. That was the best part of the rivalry, and I'm sure it's done now. That was a great match. Jericho's jump off the cage was really unsuspected. I didn't see that coming. I thought it served its purpose. Wyatt finally got over, and it was a tough it was a tough journey getting there. But at least they finally had their moment, and that was a really good match. That was really good. Let's see. Orton and Reigns, I don't know how many times we got to see the same match. I'm so bored with these guys, it's not even funny. And I'm sure there's people out there who are enjoying it. I think, honestly, I don't know how to do it, okay? But they need to change Orton's character. I think Orton needs to do something new and exciting. I don't know what that is, but he is so boring right now. I mean, when he's on this, I mean, I'm like, every time it goes to Orton, I'm rolling my eyes. I don't want to see him anymore. I'm sick of seeing him. I know there's a lot of Randy Orton fans out there, and he can carry some good matches, you know. But as far as actual, you know, microphone time, I don't, you know, promos, I just don't want to see it. I mean, they need to redo that character somehow, some way to make him more exciting. And Reigns has gotten all he can get out of Orton. They have to move on with him. Obviously, that's where the main event finale there was. That it looks like they're going to have a Rollins. Well, it's not. It's definitely. It's announced that they're going to have a Rollins and Reigns match in at Night of Champions, and I mean that's good. But I mean, obviously, that's going to be the return of Ambrose. I think you're going to see Ambrose at Night of Champions and run in, or maybe that match goes off and, you know, something happens in the Lesnar match where he maintains the belt but still gets beat down or something because Cena kind of loses it a little bit, and then you see a run in for Rollins to try to you know, cash in, and then you see Ambrose coming out and the fans will go nuts. I think you're going to see Ambrose at Night of Champions. That's my first prediction of Night of Champions, but we'll get into that later on. I really did not like Paige and AJ. Whatever they're doing with them is awful. They have so much more potential to do something, and this, you know, if they think they're fooling any male audience that they're gonna make out or like each other, they're off somewhere, because come on, it's not happening. You know, this is the PG era, and move on. It's just not the thing that they need to see. So, and it's a shame because those are the most talented divas on the main event roster. Now, this is coming out this weekend. This is after the NXT TakeOver, which I still have not watched. I will watch it, and I've heard great things out of the Charlotte and Bayley match, and I really want to see that. And I'm probably going to see it as soon as I get this video on YouTube, and I'm going to go down and watch it. So, but I can't watch. But I really think that the divas need the influx of the minor leagues into the show. The actual NXT match was really good. It is. I mean, all four of those guys I think have bright futures. Honestly, the one that's most intriguing to me is Tyler Breeze, because I think he walks that line of heel where he should be, where you're not a cartoon heel like they made into Damian Sandow, but he's good enough and threatening enough and still has the heel aspect that makes wrestling entertaining. And I think that's where they need to keep guys. You know, I mean, it's okay to have monster heels, you know, like a Bray Wyatt, but you need to have those in between heels, and that's where Breeze falls, and that's why I think I really like his, because I think Neville, as amazing as he is in the ring, he's gonna come down to not have charisma situation, where I don't think you're going to see great promos out of him. So that's going to hurt his main event status. And obviously the same thing with Kid. I mean, they're never going to push Kid. Kid's been around too long. And I mean, Sami Zayn, I need to see what he does in the main event roster. I know that, you know, everybody loves El Generico, and I get that, but I'm not completely sold on the character, because I think he was more entertaining in a mask than he is now. It's just my personal opinion. I know that some people would think that that's sacrilegious of saying, but that's just what I think. But anyway, I'm still very excited to watch the NXT TakeOver, and I heard it's great, and I can't wait to see it. And it was good that they actually had something that on Raw to push the program forward. Now, I mean, let's get into the main, what I think the best part of Raw was, that quite possibly, I'm not, you know, 15 years worth of promos, I don't know what's the best, well, not 15, but whatever, 12 years worth of promos, that could possibly be the best John Cena promo that there ever was. Because basically he laid it out there and said, this was sort of your this is why I will never turn heel promo. And it was heartfelt. The reasoning behind it, the logic was there. It was the real deal. And that is what you need to see out of John Cena. You don't want cornball John Cena, where he talks about diapers and pooping and stuff. That's not a good John Cena. Okay, but that's the kind of John Cena that's passionate and can actually, because if you think about it, he starts out by getting boos, but he almost gets cheers by the end of it from the people that were booing it, because you can't boo what he's saying. You know what I mean? So that's why, that's the kind of stuff that John Cena has to maintain. If he's really true to this, and he wants this to maintain this face character, he has to be like that all the time. I think that's very, very crucial for people to like him. Because if he gets goofy and stupid, that's when the adult male audience just thinks, okay, I'm done with this. So I think it's very important for him to do that. And Paul Heyman's ridiculous. I don't think you understand that you're seeing some of the best promo heel work ever in Paul Heyman. Every time that you see him on the screen, you should appreciate what you're seeing, because I don't know how long it's going to last. Eventually he's probably going to leave. And it's just, he's amazing, and he brings out the best in everybody that he's always with. And at least they finally paired him with, Lesnar, and that's exactly what they need to do there. So I am excited about Night of Champions, but I want to wait until after the last Raw, and we'll get into a big prediction show there. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about that's not Raw related is there was a report out that WWE sold their library, which would be, all the WrestleManias and all their DVDs, to Warner Brothers. And people started freaking out about it, because what's that going to do to the network? A couple things with that. Obviously, what happened was that came out, and then later in the day, that was like, oh, that's a completely false report. And yeah, it's a completely false report, because there's no way the WWE would continue to push the network down your throats if they were going to do something like that to make the network much, much less relevant. There's no way they could do that, because that would just have egg on their face, and they would just look completely stupid by doing something like that. If they take away all the content that the network actually provides, what do you have left? Are we just going to pay for the network for the pay-per-views? They're not going to do that. So, no. I'm not saying that it isn't something that could happen in the future once they completely decide that the network was a failure and it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. That's something that could happen later on, but not yet. Not yet. Not when you hear $9.99 10 different times in a show. So don't freak out about that yet. But other than that, next week's show should be really good. I got to get out of here because I got to watch that NXT show. I'm out. See you later. Bye.